August 29th.
That is big.
29. I don't think that's
We're only going on like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I believe, so it's August 11th.
I didn't even get my school shoes.
Nigga, what nigga got?
I didn't get my school shoes.
I'm gonna. You think someone's gonna be in the seat? You think anyone's gonna be in the seat
Sometimes
today?
Michaela shows up.
You think Michaela's gonna show up? Okay.
Alright,
Well, if she does, maybe she can pick a different spot.
your jacket, where's your jacket?
We can't do that.
No, I can't just send you searching through the classrooms. I'm sorry. You're a third of the way through though, if that helps, so it might seem daunting that it's like August 11th, but you're 1/3 of the way through, which is awesome. We're seven days out of roughly 22 days. Alright, important announcements. There is no school on Tuesday. No school on Tuesday. Don't show up. If you show up. There's the election day. So people in Maryland are voting for governor.
President.
No, not the president. The president just came into office. That's a little ways from now. It's in what? It was in 2020, so it'll be 2024. Some of you maybe will be 18 by then. You can vote.
I think I'm gonna
No, I'm 17.
It'll be 13.
17.
Oh, 17. I was like, you'll be 13 in
2024, that's
2024?
when I
I'm gonna
graduate.
be 18.
Yeah?
I'm gonna be 20.
You'll be 20 in 2024? So
I'm
you,
gonna be 18. Nigga, you 18?
No.
You 18?
I'm 18.
well, once you do, register to vote. Get out there and vote. You can't complain about the mayor or the governor if you don't vote. That's my opinion. Alright, so no school Tuesday. Fabulous. But yes, school Monday. So come up to school on Monday. And then Wednesday and Thursday. Okay? It's a 3-day week, just with a little interruption. Again, laptops. I see a few people have their laptops today. 1, 2, 3, 4.
They should have gave us some half a days.
Maybe more. 5. Alright.
I don't get that
Yeah,
down.
half a days would be cool. Some people have half a days already when they have 2 classes, right? Well, everyone here's got 3. Alright, our agenda today is a little bit different. We are going to do the do now, which is our quick write again. Then we're going to do some sentence activity, same thing we did yesterday. You can be doing this on Google Classroom if you've got it, if you got your laptop open. Then we're going to finish up the interlopers, and then it is our writing formative assessment today. It's assessment. Yep. Meaning that it's a higher grade. But we're going to work through it together, but it is going to be your personal grade. It will be weighted more. It will be weighted 50 points, I think.
That's the only essay we know.
The only?
I mean, assessment. It's the only assessment we know.
No promises. We have our final paper, which is about Romeo and Juliet, but we're not gonna worry about that until week 4. Okay? And then we'll have like many days in a row to do that. But don't worry, everything we do, I'm not gonna be like, hey, this is homework, go home and write an essay. Everything we do, we're gonna do in class, we're gonna build slowly, okay? Alright, our quick write, phones away, phones off, unless you are proven to me that you're doing it on Google Classroom, I don't wanna see them. Our quick write today is a quote from Toni Morrison. She's a great author. If you've never read her, I highly suggest. The quote is, "Your life is already artful, just waiting for you to make it art." So do you agree? Do you disagree? We're writing for 5 minutes. You can draw for 5 minutes if you prefer to draw. But we are answering and responding to this prompt. We are not sending texts or going on TikTok or Instagram. Understood? Sound good? Yes, Ms. Scheff, that sounds great. Awesome, JD, with the thumbs up. All right, 5 minutes. I'm going to make sure I have everyone down for attendance.
What are we doing here?
We're doing our quick write. If you have the packet in front of you, it's responding to the prompt. Toni Morrison? No, it's a girl. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124,
Me neither.
You're just responding to the quote. Your life is already artful, just waiting for you to make it art.
What does that
They
even
don't
mean?
respond. Your life is already artful.
What is it? What
Your
is
li- so that's the end of the first idea. Your life is already artful, waiting, just waiting for you to make it art.
What does artful mean?
Artful means like it's your life. Your life is a creation of beauty. Your life is an artistic creation.
There's already color,
I still don't get it.
adventure, light.
So your life is a beautiful creation. Right? Your mother created you. God created you. It's just waiting for you to turn it into a masterpiece. So what is that? Do you agree with that? Like a masterpiece is an artist's finest creation. So you're already a creation. And your life is just waiting for you to turn it into the best creation. Do you agree with that?
You should. I guess agree.
You disagree? You agree? Okay. And tell me.
Yeah, so when she says your life is already artful, something is very artful, artistic, right? Different characteristics, right? So saying that your life is already filled with all of those things, right? You're just waiting for to make it art. You're waiting to write those things to what you have ideas, you have this beauty in front of you, what are you going to do with it?
Oh, you got copies for the first time forever.
We are the raw materials waiting to be manipulated by our own selves or the world around us. Manipulated and turned into something beautiful, more beautiful. And unless that person that you're texting is helping you write your do now, they're hurting you. Okay? They're taking your attention away from your responsibility. Not texting in class requires self-discipline. A discipline that you will master. And you're in the process of mastering how to turn that phone off so you can attend to your responsibilities.
About 45 seconds to finish our thoughts. Alright, coming back together. Sending those last texts. Alright, what do we think? What do we think of this quote beside that it might be confusing? Do we agree or disagree that life is given to us with all of these happenings, all of these people? And it is our responsibility to make what we can of it. Do we agree? Do we disagree?
I agree.
You agree, Myra? Why is that?
Because, like, I feel like everybody, not everybody, I don't know. But, like, most people have, like, a crisis in life, you know, so, like, you just gotta, like, take control of it.
For sure. For sure. Who else? JD? You agree? Why is that? Okay, I'll take it. Anyone disagree? Anyone think that sometimes you're born into life and it's not artful? Alright. Moving forward on our packet for today, it should look very familiar. We have sentences, or simple sentences, that we are going to expand into larger sentences. So doing exactly what we did yesterday, if you weren't here yesterday during this exercise, we will review it, right? So building blocks are simple sentences. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people on their phones that shouldn't be on their phones. Thank you. We're looking at who the sentence is about, what they're doing, how they're doing it, how are they being described, how is the action being described to build those sentences. So the building blocks, for example, are the dog is panting, the dog is running, the dog is outside is sunny. A lot of words for not a lot of thought when you could just say the panting dog is running outside in the sun. Right? Hello. What's your name? Donovan, nice to meet you. You can grab a packet from the back and then find a seat. Alright, so we're going to combine these sentences. We'll kind of go through the first one together, but the second two are your responsibility. So the first one says Mike plays basketball. Mike is in high school. Mike is the shortest on the team. Mike has more assists than anyone else. So who's the subject in this? Mike. What does Mike do? What kind of basketball? High school basketball. Mike plays. Right, he's not playing college basketball. He's not playing professional basketball. Yeah, writing this. Mike plays high school basketball. Mike is the shortest on the team. Mike has more assists than anyone else. So Mike plays high school basketball. We can use a conjunction. Right, those words that help us combine two ideas. Mike plays high school basketball and although, awesome, Madison, he is the shortest person on the team. He what? We got Madison helped us get rid of this one. Although he's the shortest person on the team, instead of saying Mike, we can say he. He has more assists than anyone else. So boom, we got number one done. Now looking at number two, I'll read them, but then you guys are going to do them independently or with the person sitting next to you. It is election day on Tuesday. There is no summer school. The school is used for voting. Students relax. And number three, the two neighbors hate each other. One neighbor is George. The other neighbor is Ulrich. They get trapped under a tree. they reconcile. Reconcile is when you resolve differences, when there's a solution. So doing the last two on your own, I'll give you guys 5 minutes and then see if we got examples. About 3 more minutes. Remember, we're moving descriptors, changing the order of ideas. If anyone is done and wants to write their second one on the board, you absolutely can.
Scheff,
Yes.
what does it mean?
Reconcile, it means to resolve a fight, to become friends.
We don't gotta use that word. We got to.
No, you don't have to, as long as you're communicating the same idea. Bless you. Yes. 4 minutes. But then, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. got number 2 for the class? What's a way that we can put those thoughts together? Go ahead, Myra.
Summer school is closed for election day because the school is being used for voting, so the students get to go back.
Summer school is being closed for election day because the school is used for voting so the students can relax. Summer school is being closed, right? Should put being in there, for in there. For is a way to combine ideas, explaining why it's closed, because it is election day, using that conjunction, and using so. The result of that is that students get to relax on Tuesday, and hopefully teachers too. Awesome, Myra. Anyone else have another way to say number 2? What about number 3? Go ahead, JD. Awesome. The 2 neighbors, George and Ulrich, get trapped under a tree and then they reconcile. Beautiful. Using each idea from each part, right? Anyone have another way to say number 3 before we move forward? Do you want to see it posted or JD's example? Yeah, let me go into the page. All right, so Myra, your example was, can you read number 2 again?
Summer school is closed for election day because the school is being used for voting, so the students get to go back.
Awesome. And then JD, one more time for number 3.
The 2 neighbors, George and Ulrich, get trapped under a tree and reconcile.
I forgot to add hate each other.
The 2 neighbors that hate each other, George and Ulrich, get trapped under a tree and then they reconcile. Awesome. Keep those posted for another minute for us. What we're about to do is switch gears. Into the interlopers, and then we will have some free time. Alright, who did not get a copy of Interlopers? Or who has a computer and can access it on their computer and wants to hand in their copy? Just one? Naisha, do you have a copy of this? No? I will get you one. Do you have a copy of the Interlopers? Alright. So remember guys that yesterday we did some of that quote collection on our scrap piece of paper because the lovely printer didn't work. I went to Safeway yesterday and I bought stacks of paper. They were only $5. They're way cheaper than Staples, so I'll have to go to Safeway more often. But anyways, so yesterday we read the Interlopers. So what we're going to do now is we're going to review the Interlopers, what we read so far. Then we are going to listen to the remaining Interlopers without our phones because we can't listen, despite what people might think multitasking is actually not possible. You don't have one? And then what we will do is we're going to fill out a chart. And you can probably see a little bit of it. Madison, let me get you that pad. We're going to fill out a chart that is weighted more than normal. It's going to be weighted 25 points, but I want you guys to understand that the work I ask for you to do is important, and I'm not just asking you to do it for no reason. So I think a way to represent that is to have you guys see it reflected in your grades. 3 through 7. Madison, what time is it? 10:35. I found it. Okay. Okay. I'm just, you have a question? Like, just raise the Alright, moving forward from this slide. So our objective today, before we dive in, we're writing our first formative assessment. Students will apply their knowledge of fate and free will by reviewing the interlopers and writing an argumentative essay. Right, so this is what's graded. You guys already did the diagnostic, but now we're getting a little deeper into writing. All right, recapping the first half. What did we read yesterday? What happened? Start us off. What's the first thing that happens? Who do we meet? What two men? George and Ulrich. Do they like each other? No, they hate each other. So what happens first? Ulrich and George are enemies because of a long-lasting family feud over land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 7 people on their phone. 7 people should get off their phone. Now I have 6 people on their phone. Now I have 4 people on their phone. Alright. What does Ulrich do because he hates George? He searches for George in the forest so that they can fight. He goes in with his rifle, right? We all know what a rifle is.
No.
Rifle is a very are you joking? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Alright. So he goes in with his rifle to fight George. What ends up happening? Do they fight? Do they end up having their shootout? No. Yes, 1 second. What comes? A storm. A tree falls and the men become trapped underneath it. And that's kind of where we left off. Right? We might have gotten a little bit into the dialogue. So that's where we're going to pick up. Today you're not going to collect anything while we're reading. Sorry, I can't do 2 things at once. We're just going to follow along. If you need to underline on your paper, I don't mind. But you're looking for examples of our 4 types of conflict. What are our 4 types of conflict? Say it louder. Person versus person. That's 1.
Oh. Man versus man.
Man versus man. Person versus person.
Man versus self.
Man versus self. Man versus nature. Man versus society. Awesome, guys. So we're going to look for those examples. Why? Because man versus man is an example of what? Fate or free will? Most times. Free will, right? We have the choice to hate another person. We can take that on ourselves and be like, I'm not going to hate them. I'm not going to fight them. We have a choice to fight another person. What about man versus nature? I heard it. Fate. Why? We don't control it. Nature is its own force. So keeping a lookout as we go through interlopers. I'm going to pull it up. it's not working.
The Interlopers by Saki. Read by Christopher Hart in Cornwall, Ontario on December 28th.
Alright, I'm gonna skip ahead and then tell you guys where we're starting
This is a
today.
LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox. Ulrich von Gradwitz.
Alright. Let me just make
Found
sure.
himself stretched to the ground, one arm numb beneath
Oh.
him. Yes, the quarter from whence it came.
Alright, we should be on the back of page 1.
Snail, man to man, with none to witness. That was the wish that was uppermost in his thoughts. And as he stepped around the trunk of the huge beech, he came face to face with the man he sought. The two enemies stood, glaring at one another for a long, silent moment.
Alright, it's about to be on the back page.
Each had hate in his heart and murder uppermost in his mind. The chance had come to give full play to the passions of a lifetime. But a man who has been brought up under the code of a restrained civilization cannot easily nerve himself to shoot down his neighbor in cold blood without words spoken.
Now we're at the
Except
top
for
of the back
his
page.
hurt and honor.
The back of page
And
1.
before the moment of hesitation had given way to action, a deed of nature's own violence overwhelmed both. A fierce shriek of the storm had been answered by a splitting crash over their heads, and ere they could leap aside, a mass of falling beech tree had thundered down on them. Ulrich von Gradwitz found himself stretched on the ground, one arm numb beneath him and the other held almost as helplessly in a tight tangle of forked branches, while both legs were pinned beneath the fallen mass. His heavy shooting boots had saved his feet from being crushed to pieces, but if his fractures were not as serious as they might have been, at least it was evident that he could not move from his present position until someone came to release him. The descending twigs had slashed the skin of his face, and he had to wink away some drops of blood from his eyelashes before he could take in a general view of the disaster. At his side, so near that under ordinary circumstances he could almost have touched him, lay George Nam, alive and struggling, but obviously as helplessly pinioned down as himself. All around them lay a thick, strewn wreckage of splintered branches and broken twigs. Relief at being alive and exasperation at his captive plight brought a strange medley of pious thank offerings and sharp curses to Ulrich's lips. George, who was nearly blinded with the blood which trickled across his eyes, stopped his struggling for a moment to listen and then gave a short, snarling laugh.
Alright, where are they right now in the story? Under the tree. Ulrich is realizing that he's not the only person bloody. Alright? We're at paragraph 6. Or
Not killed as you ought to be, but you're caught anyway, he cried. Caught fast. Oh, what a jest. Ulrich von Gradwitz snared in his stolen forest. There's real justice for you. And he laughed again, mockingly and savagely. I'm caught in my own forest land, retorted Ulrich. When my men come to release us, we will wish, perhaps, that you were in a better plight than caught poaching in a neighbor's land. Shame on you. George was silent for a moment. Then he answered quietly, Are you sure that your men will find much to release? I have men too in the forest tonight, close behind me, and they will be here first into the release. When they drag me out from under these damp branches, it won't need much clumsiness on their part to roll this massive trunk right over on the top of you. Your men will find you dead under a fallen beech tree. For form's sake, I shall send my condolences to your family. It is a useful hint, said Ulrich fiercely. My men had orders to follow in 10 minutes this time, 7 of which most have gone by already. And when they get me out, I will remember the hint. Only as you will have met your death poaching on my lands, I don't think I can decently send any message of condolence to your Good, snarled George, good. We fight this quarrel out to the death, you and I and our foresters, with no cursed interlopers to come between us. Death and damnation to you, Ulrich von Gradwitz. The same to you, George Snahan, forest thief, game snatcher.
What are they doing right now? Ulrich and George. It's not supposed to be a trick question. Can someone open the door?
Sorry.
That's okay. What are they doing?
It's open.
Are they?
It's open.
Oh. They're talking, but are they talking friendly yet?
No.
No, they're bantering back and forth. You guys don't have to write anything. I'm just. When we banter, it's like when we throw comments back and forth at each other and it starts to escalate. Yeah, it starts to escalate. We are. Where'd my paper go? We're at the bottom of this page. We're about to turn on to that.
What page is
You want
that?
me to write?
Yes, please.
That's 2?
It says 2, yeah, it's not page 2, but we're gonna start at 5. Alright, so they're bantering back and forth. They're talking about how we're still trapped under this tree, but we're still going to hate each other. Okay? Remember, we should be paying attention because when it comes time to evidence collection, we're not gonna replay the video or the audio.
Both men spoke
The top of page 2, everyone at it?
with the bitterness possible to be before them, for each knew that it might be long before his men would seek him out or find him. It was a bare matter of chance which party would arrive first in the scene. Both had now given up the useless struggle to free themselves from the mass of wood that held them down. Ulrich limited his endeavors to an effort to bring his one partially free arm near enough to his outer coat pocket to draw out his wine flask. Even when he had accomplished that operation, it was long before he could manage the unscrewing of the stopper or get any of the liquid down his throat. But what a heaven-sent draught it seemed. It was an open winter, and little snow had fallen as yet, hence the captain suffered less from the cold than might have been the case at the season of the year. Nevertheless, the wine was warming and reviving to the wounded man, and he looked across with something like a throb of pity toward his enemy lay, just keeping the groan of pain and weariness from crossing his lips. Could you reach this flask if I threw it over to you? Asked Ulrich suddenly. There is good wine in it, and one may as well be as comfortable as one can. Let us drink, even if tonight one of us dies. No, I can scarcely see anything. There is so much blood caked around my eyes, said George. And in any case, I don't drink wine with an enemy.
What did he just do? What did Ulrich just do? Right here. What did he try to hand George? Wine. Would you do that to someone you hated? Would you pass them whatever party favor is going around if you hated them? No. So there's something in Ulrich that is changing. He's like, maybe I don't need to hate you anymore. We're both suffering, bloody, trapped under this tree, pinned down under this tree. Why don't we get drunk and drink some wine? Ulrich had a flask in his pocket, and he was able to get his hand into his side pocket. Right, a flask is like one of those things that holds wine. I'm assuming this back in the old days, it's not just one little flask of wine. They're probably referring to brandy or something like that. All right, so they're just trying to numb the pain a little bit, get a little bit tipsy. But you wouldn't do that with someone you hated. But Ulrich is trying. Right now, George is a little resistant.
Ulrich was silent for a few minutes, and lay listening to the wary screeching of the wind. An idea was slowly forming and growing in his brain, an idea that gained strength every time he looked across the man who was fighting so grimly against pain and exhaustion. In the pain and languor that Ulrich himself was feeling, the old fierce hatred seemed to be dying down. Neighbor, he said presently, do as you please if your men come first. It was a fair compact. But as for me, I've changed my mind. If my men are the first to come, you shall be the first to be helped, as though you're my guest. We've quarreled like devils all our lives over this stupid strip of forest, where the trees can't even stand upright in a breath of wind. Lying here tonight thinking, I've come to think we've been rather fools. There are better things in life than getting the better of a boundary dispute. Neighbor, if you will help me to bury the old quarrel, I will ask you to be my friend.
What does Ulrich do here?
Everyone gets mine.
Ask him to be his friend. He says, hey, if my people come first, I will let them save you. I'm not going to let you be here to die. So they originally went into the forest to murder each other, and now they're at a point where they're like, I'd save you if we're going to get saved in the first place. So their bond shifts, right? They become, he asked for friends. At least right now. Is that an example of man versus man, or is that an example of man versus self? What did Ulrich have to do to overcome his hatred? Don't think too hard. What did he have to do? What did Ulrich have to do to overcome his hatred? What'd you say? Get over his pride. He had to make a choice, right? So he made a choice. Ulrich made a choice. / got over his pride. Awesome, Jada. So he's extending that olive branch. He's saying, we're in this together. You should be at the part where it says, George Nahum was silent for so long that Ulrich thought perhaps he had fainted.
George Nahum was silent for so long that Ulrich thought perhaps he had fainted with the pain of his injuries. Then he spoke slowly and in jerks. How the whole region would stare and gabble if we rode into the market square together. No one living can remember seeing as Nahum and Von Gradwitz talking to one another in friendship. And what peace there would be among the forester folk if we ended our feud tonight. And if we choose to make peace among our people, there is none other to interfere. No interlopers from outside. You would come and keep the Sylvester night beneath my roof, and I would come and feast on some high day at your castle. I would never fire a shot in your land, save when you invited me as a guest, and you should come and shoot with me down in the marshes where the wildfowl are. In all the countryside, there are none that could hinder if we willed to make peace. I never thought to have wanted to other than hate you all my life, but I think I have changed my mind about things too this last half hour. And you offered me your wine flask. Ulrich von Gradwitz, I will be your friend. First,
So George accepts his offer, and now they're both friends. So they reconciled.
space, both men were silent, turning over in their minds the wonderful changes that this dramatic reconciliation would bring about. In the cold, gloomy forest, with the wind tearing in fitful gusts through the naked branches and whistling round the tree trunks, they lay and waited for the help that would now bring release and succor to both parties. And each prayed a private prayer that his men might be the first to arrive, so that he might be the first to show honorable attention to the enemy that had become a friend. Presently, as the wind dropped for a moment, Ulrich broke silence. "Let's shout for help," he said. "In this lull our voices may carry a little way." "They won't carry far through the trees and undergrowth," said George, "but we can try. Together then." The two raised their voices in a prolonged hunting call. "Together again," said Ulrich a few minutes later, after listening in vain for an answering clue. "I heard something that time, I think," said Ulrich. "I heard nothing but the pestilential wind," said George hoarsely. There was silence again for some minutes, and then Ulrich gave a joyful cry. "I can see figures coming through the wood. They were following the way I came down the hillside." Both men raised their voices as loud a shout as they could muster.
What do they think is about to happen? They think they're about to get rescued. That's important.
They hear us. They've stopped. Now they see us. They're running down the hill towards us, cried Ulrich. How many of them are there? Asked George. I can't see distinctly, said Ulrich. 9 or 10. Then they are yours, said George. I had only 7 out with me. They are making all the speed they can, brave lads, said Ulrich gladly. Are they your men? Asked George. Are they your men? He repeated impatiently as Ulrich did not answer. No, said Ulrich, with a laugh, the idiotic chattering laugh of a man unstrung with hideous fear. Who are they? Asked George quickly, straining his eyes to see what the other would gladly not have seen. Wolves. End of the interlopers.
Who came to rescue them? Who came to rescue? Who said it? Wolves. Are wolves coming to rescue them?
What are wolves gonna do to them?
What are wolves gonna do to two bloody men? Absolutely. What's that an example of?
Man versus nature.
Absolutely. Now, does it explicitly say wolves eat them? No. All it says is that the people, the things they see running towards them are wolves. So we can assume that wolves will eat them. Man versus nature. Who lost in that instance? They did. George and Ulrich lost their battle. They might have won the battle of man versus self and overcome their hatred, but they lost the battle of man versus nature. Maybe if they weren't trapped, they wouldn't have lost the battle. But in time, the wolves were going to kill them both. So that is the end of our short story. There we go. Eyes up. Amari, our eyes open. Keon, eyes open.
You guys need a piece of candy?
Probably. Or they need their death shake. But that's okay. Alright. So we finished it. We have at least 3 examples of each. I mean, at least an example. So 3 different examples. Man versus man, George versus Ulrich. Man versus self, George versus himself. Ulrich versus himself. And man versus nature. The storm, the tree, and now the wolves. We did not look at society. The example of society, though, to talk a little bit about it, the example of society is when Ulrich and George decide to be friends. They say, how funny would it be if we walked into town and everyone saw us together, right? Society is against their feud. That's...
We could be in those.
Huh?
We could be in those.
Notes? Can you say it again?
He said, "Are we supposed to be answering those?"
Oh, are we supposed to be answering those? I thought you asked if we should be taking notes. No. We're not answering yet. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a brain break, do what you need to do, energize yourself, text your friends, etc. But then when we come back, we are answering the questions with quotes and setting us up for success for our writing assignment that we're going to do today. Alright, again, this is a big grade, so take your 5 minutes, do what you gotta do. Huh? It will be 2 to 3. And we'll walk through it. Okay.
The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant.
Ooh, where is
She
that?
was one of those pretty and charming girls, born, as if by an accident of fate, into
What?
They have the choice, their grandfathers have the choice. When we have problems in this country, we have the choice. We have to do what we don't. Yep. So these are the paragraphs you can find really.
So they sent over to each other.
Yep. They're like, they wanted to meet each other, they wanted to have a fight. But don't be too far asleep or I can't wake you up. How you doing, Marcus? Huh? Your throat hurt. That's not good. Babe didn't send you home. So you already checked in with the office. You can check in with the office if you want. Would a parent or guardian come pick you up? No. Would you have to walk? Take the bus? If the office calls home, I think they can send you home, but I'm not sure how that works because we don't have like a school nurse, you know? So I'm sorry your throat hurts. Alright, about a minute or so. I have more copies. I'm gonna give you this one, because this one has my random notes on it. Thank you. Alright, about 20 seconds left. Alright, those last texts, those last seconds of TikTok, we're gonna be doing a lot of independent work, so you have a chance for your music in a second. But just to summarize what happened in the story, there's 4 big things, right? We're introduced to the 2 men. Ulrich and George. Hate each other and go to fight. Then what happens once they're in the forest ready to fight? What comes? storm, thank you. And they get trapped. Then they reconcile, they become friends, and then the wolves come, right? 4 big things that occur. They meet each other because they hate each other and they're ready to fight. They go to fight and the storm happens. They reconcile because they're trapped together. Imagine being trapped in an elevator with your arch nemesis. Are you just gonna fight for hours until, yeah? Is that what you said? Y'all, your bodies would get tired, right? So they run out of things to say and they become friends. And then the wolves get them. When the wolves get them, is that an example of fate or free will? Fate. Awesome. Alright. Oops. Not what I wanted to do. Alright, so I just wanted to show the agenda a little bit. We've done most of everything. We're on to 6 and 8. So the evidence collection that we're about to do, it's on your packets. You guys can all flip to it. The evidence collection is 4 areas to put 4 quotes. So 1 quote per area. In them, they have a guiding question. So this is not meant to be you don't have to find the exact answer, but a question that is supposed to guide your thoughts with the paragraphs that they belong to. So what do the numbers mean next to the question? Thank you, JD. What paragraphs you can find the answers in. So you look at the question, step 1, then what do? Pull out a quote that relates, and then what do? This is the important part. This is what will help you on the essay. You explain if it's fate or free will. Okay. Why do we collect evidence before we write? So it can be easier. So all we have to do is paste in the words that we already wrote down. Oh no, when we're on our computer, it's even easier because you can just copy and paste. When we're writing, it's just copying the words we already wrote. So the first question is, why do Ulrich and George hate each other at the beginning of the story? You can find this in paragraph 1 and 2. The second question is, how did Ulrich and George end up meeting each other in the forest? You can find this in 2 and 3. Number 3 is, what are some examples of person versus nature in the story? 4 and 40. And then number 4 is, how do Ulrich and George's feelings for each other change by the end of the story? 15, 19, and 21. Paragraphs 15, 19, and 21. So we're not writing our essay right now. We are just answering these questions with quotes and our explanation of the quotes, okay? So we have about 15 minutes to do that. If we need to check in and have more time, that's okay. But use this time wisely completing this chart. This chart itself is 25 points. It's equal to the weight of your essay because I think it is that important that you do the pre-work. Okay? And that you get rewarded for the pre-work.
And this is the easy part, right? This is just gathering your facts.
So you can work with the people next to you if you want. Yes, sir.
If you have a question, if you need help, guidance, whatever, raise your hand. You've got 2 teachers and you have your classmates. I like to see people working collaboratively. It's true, 2 brains are better than one. That's my opinion. Some of us, that's our natural way to learn, is to work with other people. We learn best when we work together. Some of us. Some of us prefer to work alone, but just know that, you know, for me, I prefer to work with other people. It's more exciting, it's more interesting, it's more creative.
So you can plug in your music, whatever you need to do, but we're not hanging out on our phone because the people that are on your phone are not in this class, they can't help you.
So the question is why? Okay. So paragraph 2, read paragraph 2. It's a long paragraph, but it's in the first half of paragraph 2.
Wait, I don't know. So it's 2 evidence?
2 evidence. Are they, is one faith, one free will, or are they both faith? Well, no, so here, what the 2 boxes are for is, the first box is your quote, and the next one is you respond with, is it fate or free will? And be able to explain why, you know, yeah. So if you've got one quote, you want to have at least 2 or 3 so you can make a decision about which is more dominant in the story. Ultimately, you're going to want to decide which is stronger in this story, fate or free will. So you want to make sure that you can come to that conclusion through your evidence gathering. So Well, you're definitely gonna need more, I mean, well, I guess you could have had just one, but, it's best to have, you know, sort of this is the thinking process.
So just looking at this.
So more than one is always
So
better.
that's a point. But four is the paragraph. So then three, that's a small paragraph. So using that to answer these questions.
It's S. Wait.
One second, I'll be right there. Instead of four. So this one. I would look at this one. And then put it in four. And then right here, paragraphs. Oh, yeah, first floor. Okay. I'll tell you. Okay,
It starts to go down the first floor, you make a left, go again, and make another left. and
Okay.
proceed straight.
yeah.
And then,
This doesn't tell us why. So start with that. What's that?
and I was the sport like you
No, absolutely. Because then, right, how do they know this eternity face to face? Bree, how we doing? Yeah, so this one's all, but they kind of just decided to go with the forest together, right? So, there's forest, gravel, control, forest, and so he's actively going out, searching right now. And then it says, thirdly, there's forest or.
Well, that is sort of the intro for number one as to why they were mad at each other. That's.
Yeah, I mean, this part will help you with that, especially.
Rested in.
The last says take paragraph 3,
From
as he's there.
illegal possession of a neighboring family, so that's the one, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so is that one, tell me, is that one fate or is that one free will?
I'm Oregon.
So fate is when something happens to you that you have no control over. Free will is a choice
How you
that
doing
you
today?
made.
You know,
that
right?
leads to, an outcome.
Let's see, this is what they're working on today, but I want,
What do you
whatever you
think?
do today to
Okay,
worthwhile.
because this one can actually work both ways. If it's fake, why do you think it's fake?
Get the credit, right, I want you to get the credit, so I think if we work together, we can do that, okay? So I would start with just this right now, and just trying to, what, the same thing we did yesterday, and you erased the sentences.
Do you get to control the judge? Right, so you have no control over that judge's decision, right? So, in that case, it is kind of fake, you know, it's the judge's decision, not yours.
Yeah.
So you wanna. What's that? Event, yeah, I think you do need to, you are gonna need to be able to justify why it's, why.
There is a nurse who
Why
wanted to
it's
go
fate,
down so that she
and
could
why
stay home.
fate is
She
controlling
wanted
that
to get sent
situation.
home.
So you will need to explain, yeah.
I was going to the nurse, something you're interested in.
If you remember in
Yeah.
middle school, the explaining was your elaboration. This is your justification. We want you to be able to justify your decisions and your choices and your opinions. That's the important part, is your justification. That ultimately is your argument. So look up the word portal. You're on the computer, you're 21st century student. Good.
So Mr. Knight, it goes down to the first floor and then left and a left, is that what
Yeah.
you said? Okay,
Yeah.
so you go down to the first floor through the stairs over here, and then if you take a left, it should be on your left.
Yeah.
Okay?
And do you know how to look up words on the document?
I hope you feel better. Alright, it's a little bit under 2 minutes on the timer, but I think that some of us are at different places, so at the end of the 15 minutes, if you're still doing evidence collection, stay doing that. It's important, and there will be more time on Monday as well, but I'm gonna review, or I'm gonna look over what we're doing essay-wise. It's supposed to, but you're almost done. Then on Monday, you can just chill.
Who's watching? We want you guys to get as much, this is a big grade, so if you're preoccupied, these assessments can really take down all the hard work that you've put in for the past 2 weeks. You don't wanna blow off the assessments, you don't wanna not do this. So try and get at least, 2 quotes. Try and get at least 2. So you've got one, right? And you've got, okay, sorry. Okay, well now, you can just start working on the essay, so take a look at the argument. Actually, yeah, you wanna scroll down and see what you got. Wait, that's the graphic word.
Why do they hate each other?
They hate each other because their grandfathers had a lawsuit over the land. And now they're literally going into the land to fight each other.
You're gonna argue whether these
Ulrich
guys
gave George the
are
flask.
victims of fate.
Ulrich said, hey, drink some wine.
If their outcome is because of their own free will. So looking back at your examples and looking back at, what happened to them, was it because of the choices they made? Or was it because of circumstances out of their control? Which do you think played a bigger role in their situation? That's your argument. And once you decide your position, you can start writing. Sorry about that.
Alright, keep collecting that evidence. If your head's down and you're not collecting, you're gonna have to do it at home so you can catch up. Alright, but for those of you that are moving on, the writing part, the prompt is argumentative. You are arguing. Y'all should be good at that. You're high schoolers. So you're arguing whether Ulrich and George are victims of fate or exercisers of free will. So it's not if Ulrich is like the winner against George. It is if fate or free will is a bigger force in the short story. So that is what we're arguing about. So your claim needs to be whether fate plays more of a role or free will plays more of a role. Okay? So you guys are going to answer the question. Which one plays a bigger role in the interlopers? You're going to include at least 2 quotes. And you're going to write a 2 to 3 paragraph essay. There is an organizer, a graphic organizer, that you can use, but you do not have to use it. If you rather just get right to writing, you can use it as a guide. If you rather brainstorm in the organizer first, be my guest. You can totally do that. I find it to be helpful to brainstorm in an organizer first. Alright, so in the remaining time, if you're still on the evidence, continue to collect. Otherwise, begin your writing process by completing the organizer.
Not right on here.
You can do it online. You don't have to do it online.
You shall be the first to
Yep.
be held.
You can do it absolutely just on your computer.
Yes. We have all black devils all our lives in the stupidest river forest with the trees, alright?
All I ask is that there's just no sleeping. I don't want you guys to have to do it at home, so might as well do it here.
Wait, keep on, what's that?
Yes.
Paragraph 19 is really a really good example of
Like, Lily, I like
things change. And
Yeah, you can write an instance that you're like.
Well, you could explain
No, you put it right there.
what happens then in
You don't
paragraph
have to. You could put it right here on the back if you were just to start your essay. But if organizing your thoughts first helps
And they
you.
tell what
Yeah,
happens.
check it out, figure something.
You can introduce
Yeah, absolutely.
things that way.
You mean like you want like the actual copy, the assignment, right? That's what you mean, Sean? You want another version of the assignment? You got one? Okay. If you need it, stretch your legs or take a break so that you can come back to working hard. The essay is about whether Ulrich and George are victims of fate or exercisers of free will. So are they a victim to fate? Did this happen to them and they didn't deserve it? Or did they have choice and options in it all? Okay?
Yes, so this is the graphical
The free will is what you choose right.
So this is,
Can you say that one more time?
Free will, like when I
so
choose.
this is your
Yep.
prompt. You're gonna argue, you're gonna decide whether Ulrich and George are victims of fate,
I don't get this.
or if
The hook part?
they're,
Like this specific part?
they're outcomes because
Well,
so
you don't have to. You can just write a strong statement. So
the situation they got themselves in because of fate, or because of their own choices.
yeah, like an example of fate or free will in your life. But you don't have to. Well, I probably wouldn't write about my life because I think there's things wonderful. So I'd probably make a statement that like some people
So
in
which
life
one did you do?
believe that fate controls everything. And really they
I
have.
mean, that's the whole thing about an argument, you can argue
Like
both sides.
I would just make a
But
bold
you-
statement, and then I would say, for this, yeah, I would just make a bold statement instead of writing about your life. And then I would define what fate is.
And then, once you make that decision,
It's not gonna be right today because not everyone's gonna finish today, but we're gonna finish it on Monday. Yeah,
you can take a look, first thing you gotta do is decide what the condition is.
We gotta pick one, or we can
So,
the one, like fate or free will, you're picking a side. You're saying in the story, fate plays a bigger role, then they're victims of fate, or you're saying they're exercisers of free will and they brought the wolves eating them on, they brought their end on themselves. So you're saying it's one or the other. What do you think is the reason wolves eat them? Like, they didn't have to go into the forest to fight, right? That was their free will to go and do that. But if the storm hadn't happened, they wouldn't have gotten trapped, and then maybe only one of them would be dead instead of both of them. Alright, so it's debating whether, or if it's both. If there's examples of both, they are both an exerciser of free will and a victim of fate.
If they hadn't made the choice to work together to call out for help, would the wolves have heard them? I mean, there's all kinds of examples in there.
So what is fate again?
Fate is when a series of events or things that happen that are out of our control, that happen from a supernatural force. Something that is not in our control, that cannot be expected. Could they hypothetically check the weather or whatever? Maybe, but the weatherman is not a...
Before you go out to get in a fight, check the weather.
The weatherman is not considered a supernatural force. A supernatural force would be like God, Mother Nature, the cosmos.
We doing this Monday too.
We'll finish it on Monday, but we won't have a whole lot of time on Monday, so that's why I just want to make sure we use today's time wisely.
Still have like 20 minutes now.
Yeah. There's lots of time. You guys move faster than the first class. Well then, ask for help. I'll be there in a second. This part right here is just for you to brainstorm. You don't need to write these. But what do you want your result to be? So
Did you make your decision on what side you're on, fate or free
that
will?
engages the reader's audience.
Yes or no?
So if you're about to read, if I'm about to read, and
No.
say about
Okay, so you
free
wanna
will,
make that
well, I might
decision.
engage my audience.
Do you wanna make that decision?
Something like
Do you know which direction you're writing?
fate, fate and free will. Oftentimes people submit to the idea of fate when really they have the ability to act on their own free will. Right?
If
Like
you're
a bull,
writing
bull
without using a graphic organizer,
sometimes
make sure
fate
you
plays
check
on what
against
control in
it,
our
so you
lives,
have all
like getting
parts.
into a car accident,
Okay.
or
you wanna make sure your writing is organized.
the cords breaking when you're skydiving, right? Those are bad versions, bad things, bad examples of things. Where you say free will is a right that all humans deserve. It doesn't have to be too hard, just a statement where you're like, okay, I'm gonna get Michelle's attention, I'm gonna get Miss White's attention, and this will get my friend's attention. You can even quote like an artist that maybe talks about the idea of faith as the idea of free will, probably. Right, you can. I would use some of the time to brainstorm a little bit, spitball some ideas. But if this hook part is catching you, just brainstorm some definitions of fate and free will. And say whether you think fate or free will is the reason that they die.
So we're doing all of this.
Yeah, all of it's on that short story. But this is just an organizer, right? So if Sean's using the organizer questions, but he's not writing it here, he's going into this. Okay? And he's just writing. That works for him. For me, I need an organizer because otherwise my thoughts are all over the place.
And if it feels overwhelming to you, take it in chunks. Do, one block at a time. Pace yourself. Write, take a minute, write, take a minute,
Now I want you.
Look through the
One step
organizer, find which parts are easy for you. Which are the easy parts for you?
further.
Maybe it's writing the text out, right? You've already got that.
How are we doing more?
So, like when a comedian does a joke, right? He tells a little story before he gets to the punchline. That's what you're doing. Your punchline is your pieces, so you need to build up to it, right? Your punchline is fate determines the outcome of people's lives, right? Or whatever.
So that's why I would, why you have to fill it out, I would look at
Right?
this.
You can tell a story.
They will,
You can ask a question.
or this on, they belong. So I would just look at this, you can ask your question. So here is your introduction paragraph, and then you will talk explain your argument,
That's not real.
then
That's
you
not real.
introduce your
But
quote,
you can come up with
and then
that,
you
or you
explain
can
your
come up with
quote, then you introduce your second quote. You only need two.
right?
So that's where it's
Something like a random.
where, and these are your quotes.
Or you can tell a story, like, you know.
Yeah, and when you're explaining it, you're just saying like, this is an example of when free will played a role in their life, or when faith played a role in their lives.
Okay.
Right? You can build up to it. So that's what the hook is.
Yeah. Yep. Does that make sense? Alright, so you're answering the question if fate or free will if plays a
I
big role
would
in the
pick the one
story.
you feel strongest about, and then oftentimes there's a counter argument.
Yeah, no, at first
So
you're just
you can
introducing,
add, it doesn't look like
you're just
she
giving a
added-
little
she
taste,
added
a little
a
teaser.
counter argument.
Then you start to
But you
explain
can
it by
add a
saying,
counter argument
um,
and say, oh, like, while,
here you would
while,
make a
you
bold
know,
statement,
while
or
it
you make
appears
a
that
how
fate
it
plays
plays
a
into
strong
like
role,
Ulrich and George,
free will also had
they're both,
a
okay,
role
so
in this,
you
you
know,
know, others
while
could argue
Ulrich and George
that free
made
will
bad
was stronger,
decisions,
and then this is why.
or
So
that could have been better decisions,
So, yeah, you can argue
fate
both
was
sides.
the reason that they died, right, that's both. So that's where you explain yourself, and then you use quotes to prove why your quote is right. Does that make a little more? Alright. So what do we think about maybe doing some of the work from Google instead? Does that work? Do you have access to the internet on your phone? No, you can't get onto Google and search up the definition. Or you can? Okay. Guys, we got about 10 more minutes, a little over. Okay, so what I want you to do here is to just Google the definition. Don't worry about this part. And then an example of it. Okay, do you like to draw? Okay, so then don't worry about that part. And so there's this word, this is your first word. So just a definition and an example. Just those, and then you stop here. The rest of it we did in class. Okay? Awesome.
24 seconds.
Yes. To restate your argument, so what's your argument? That fate or free will, well, if you, if reviewing it and then rewriting it, if you think you did, okay? To some people, this will be, especially when you have to use it, but if like, I'm not really doing it, I want to put it a little bit, or if you look at it and you tell me what you change, I think that would be great. Alright, so restating your argument. So you said free will. So you're just restating what you said or why you said free will is the bigger force in the story. So like because of they're in a enough in the position they were in. Almost there. How are we doing, Ashia? Good. How are we doing, Amari? Let's see, you got. Oh, looks like to we don't need another. Yeah, and so like then if those people can go out. That's right. Absolutely, and you found for number 3.
If you haven't started writing the
As they go
essay
into
yet,
the,
and you need
they go
help,
into the.
please let us know.
And it says here, and before the moment of hesitation has given way to action, right before they have started fighting, before they talk. That's for you to like explain, so here's where you write the author's words. So like you would literally write, yeah, you would there. So here you would literally write, given way, you write this way. Given way to action and do this with your best, right? Own violence, dangers of violence. Does that make sense? You after that quote, then you would say in your own words what's happening, and if that's favor, if it's free will. Right? Alright guys, with the last few minutes, I'm gonna pass out some work that has been graded. As you finish up your thoughts.
Yeah, anybody that wants to look at their grade, just an FYI, the grade reflects your work for last week. I have not put in grades for this week, I'm gonna do that tomorrow, okay? So what you see is your work
You
for
can
last week.
take it home.
If you did not get the diagnostic from last week done,
Bring it on Monday.
next week I'm gonna poll students so you can get that done. Because that's a big grade and probably if you didn't get that done, your grade is pretty low, okay? So if you didn't get that done, next week I'm gonna poll students to do that so you can get that done. Alright, there's no reason why you should have a low grade for that.
Oh, come on, man. Huh? Mika? No. No. Here you go. I'm done.
You're done? Please, when you exit, you can put it in the section you've been. Thank you, Tracy.
It is.
Taking your paper home?
Coming along.
We're gonna come back, have it filled out with all the energy, data.
Who's this?
That's, I'm handing back work. So guys, if you didn't finish, there will be some more time.
I gotta take the story home too with me, right?
Yeah, there will be more time on Monday. There's still some time, so we shouldn't be standing up yet. We should still be sitting down. Unless we're checking our grades with Miss Manhattan. We're gonna finish it on Monday. If you don't finish it in class on Monday, then you take it home and bring it back, okay?
Why are you giving it to me?
Sometime next week.
Give it, don't give it to me. Are you done?
But I'm not
Is
done.
that a, is
And
that a
then
2 to
you
3
can,
paragraph
if you don't wanna take it home, you can put it here. That's okay.
Okay.
In the
So-
bin.
Ms. Scheff, if you wanna work on it at school, or you wanna take it home?
If they're
Or you
comes,
wanna work on it at home, or you wanna come back and?
Cause if I go home with this, I'm done with.
Okay, so put it in section 2, if you're done,
and if you want
if you're done, put it in section 2. Even if you turn it in, I reckon there'll be a chance on Monday to
Yeah.
see if you wanna change it up at all. Alright, so
We
we
don't-
are in section 5. Alright, and you guys, I apologize, you're gonna have to remind me of your name. Trayshawn, okay. Alright, Trayshawn, looking good, looking good. You're missing Thursday's classwork, so today is the last day. You have up until 11:59 PM. That's 1 minute from midnight to get any kind of extra work done, okay? So it's all on Google Classroom. Alright, Trayshawn, so you're pulling an A, but you're missing.
you don't have to, do that part.
Okay.
I'm sure it's okay if you wanna put an asterisk.
Yeah,
and
they
add a
spelled your
sentence
name wrong, and I
on Monday.
don't know why. Okay, so you're doing, wow, 106, get some extra credit on your participation, yes.
That's okay.
Well, they probably aren't here. I mean, usually, tell me your name again.
Oops, not yet. You
What's your
already
last,
did
tell me your last name, John. Okay, so you're missing, well, come on now, what, yeah, I guess so.
I saw BB on the second week.
Well, no, see, you're missing Thursday's assignment, so go into Google Classroom,
Thanks for
take a look
coming
at
to my class.
Thursday and get that done. Tell me your name,
You want
last
the
name.
word? You want the word? Thanks for coming to my class today.
Okay, A plus, cross, 4, 10, can't do So go into Google Classroom and yeah, okay.
I did not get any spreadsheets today, so I was going to the main office, no one came and brought me any.
Yes, and so you're going to be, because you're missing Thursday class. And it looks like you didn't come Thursday, so get on Google Classroom, take a look at Thursday's classwork, 7-7, and see if you can. Oh, yeah.
What, Cameron just did about here? Not you, other Cameron. No, you're good.
All right, last name?
Oh, Donovan. I have the work for the first week.
E minus
So
because
it's all
you
kind of
missed
getting to know you stuff.
very
This is
first
the
day.
syllabus,
So-
all I need is the third page.
Well, I'll go back and look, I'll go back and
So the
look.
fifth page.
It could be my mistake,
Fifth page
but,
sign.
so
A fifth page sign. This is
I'll go
a
back.
get to know you, few minutes.
I'll take a look and I'll find out
I'm
for the
trying
end
to
of the
get
day.
to know you.
Okay, alright. Tell me your last name?
Here, you write
Yes.
that you agree. Or
Marcus,
disagree.
okay, so Marcus, tell me.
That's all.
Oh, Cameron, Jefferson.
Right there.
Oh, there you are.
No,
See
you
Jackson.
write it. So responding to
Okay, you're doing great.
this sentence.
You got
you
A
agree.
plus. You,
This
your
is
participation was a little
Really all you
low.
have to
So
do is Google
instead of
words.
having your head in your phone, get your tens, you have the capacity to get tens across the
And with
board.
the definition.
But you have an A plus.
You don't have this part.
No, you just have low
And then
participation. Not even low, but you lost a point or two,
We
right?
discussed
But
this.
if you wanna
and
get all
it's either
tens-
so desire, but again, it's Googling the words.
Yes. Alright, good job, you
Trying
guys.
to translate it as best as you're able. This is Shakespeare's language, but if you need help, you can look up Military Shakespeare on Google and it'll help you. Right? So I don't wanna overwhelm you, you do it in your time, but trying to get this in by the end of next week, I'll give you this.
Okay.
You got my samples?
I do have it. Yeah, no, I did
Oh,
not
okay.
in the
Tell me
real
your last name?
I got it.
Oh,
Okay.
Last time.
well, you don't have anything.
Okay, no, yeah, I do have your syllabus.
So far you got an A.
Definitely, and I will make sure.
That's where we
I'll
start
note
you
each
out
credit.
at.
You make sure you have those 10 points as well.
Okay. Alright.
Well done, Cameron. Yes, absolutely, I hope you have a great weekend.
Hey, this is Ms. Winnett. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I missed your call. I was getting the kids out of the classroom. So Cameron, yes, let me, oh, Calvin, sorry. Okay. Right. So what's the issue? What's going on?
But each time that I try to introduce help or, him doing something to help improve that, because we can do all that we can, but if, I'm trying to take that out, we do all that we can, however, if he is not willing to try, there's no need, because we have a person who's not willing to try. And that's his problem, he's not willing to really try.
Right.
He runs from it. He had the same issue with his teacher who do the school meeting. And the teacher to me seemed like a very helpful, supportive. However, Calvin just runs from English, math, school, all of it.
Does he run from school in general or just English?
School in general. If you like the teacher, like that, I like the biology. Okay, so you like the biology. You say biology is easy. I'm like, okay, biology is easy, but however, what you really need to get a good concept of in those basic fundamentals is English and math. Numbers and letters. That's all I ever talked about is numbers and letters. We need them. And I don't know how to get there to them.
Does he get to school just, let me see,
Okay. stuff overall.
Okay.
It's horrible. And at home, I'm like, you need to rest your body, which is all the stuff you already know. You need to go to sleep, rest your body, not get bad at the night, so that you get up in the morning. So when I saw that English was his first period, I'm like, yes. So is there a way that he can do English like in the middle of the day?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Switch something around maybe?
I'll put in a request to see if his English can come in at the end of the day or middle of the day.